This ain't just a Toy Story or a foreign unboxing. These are the stories of action, toy glory, and we're clocking. SH Figuarts, Black Series are hot toys. And figures with transformation sequences that make noise. Check out the joints and the many points of articulation. We're celebrating the global collector nation. Sit back, relax, and get ready to rock this. Here's the real Chow. Welcome to Shelf Conscious.
On this episode, I have an amazing guest. His YouTube channel is Art G's Collection. You can also find him on Instagram. Please welcome to Shelf Conscious, Art Gutierrez, better known as Art G. What's up, Art?
Hey, what's up, Keith? Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. This is amazing to me that you would reach out, because to be in the likes of, you know, all the people that you've already interviewed in the past, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on the show.
Of course. I love your channel. You know, we were just talking before we started recording about like toy hunt videos and unboxings and everything. So your channel is one of my favorite toy hunt channels on YouTube. So it's an honor for me to talk to you because, you know, I kind of became aware of you. You had won a prize pack from the Nerds Color for some Snake Eyes gear. And so you threw up that unboxing video. And ever since I was like, oh shit, I need to check out all of Art's videos. So you've been on the regular rotation ever since.
Thank you. I was completely humbled when I was chosen as that winner. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Just because you know, Snake Eyes was just brand new, hasn't been really released, or was it? Maybe it came out for like a week or two.
Yeah, I don't think it was out yet, because I think it was a bunch of like gear and then like free tickets for the movie. Yeah.
So I was like, I haven't seen the movie yet. I would love to get tickets for it, so that's really cool. But to get picked, I was like, yes, that's really cool. So doing that unboxing was a lot of fun. I was just floored because I know Steve Aoki and his Dimmock collection. So I think my wife might have had something from them before. She knew Dimmock before I did. I was like, I have no clue what's going on, but it was cool. I was really, really grateful for that.
Of course. No, I mean, and for what it's worth, just so people aren't like, did you guys rig it or whatever? Completely random. And like I said, I that's how, I think it was after that I realized you and I were in Cincy's collecting group. And then I guess we just, after the whole Snake Eyes exchange, we kind of friended each other on Facebook, and like I said, I subscribed to your channel and everything. So just full disclosure, was not rigged. I did not like make Art like select them out. It was totally random, but congratulations on that. And again, thank you for being on Shelf Conscious, because I just love talking to folks, fellow collectors. And you know, you said you've seen the show, and one of the things I like to ask folks is like, what got you into it? Like, you're a proud adult collector, but was that always the case? Did you have like a break? What was the thing that made you say, you know what, I'm a middle-aged man, but I don't give a shit. I will proudly display my toys in my room. What was the like kicker for you?
Now, you know what? I don't know if there was a kicker. The thing is, though, even as a kid, I mean, we all have our toys that we played with and collected. So as a child, I focused a lot of toys on G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles. That was it. If I had money to go to Toys R Us, Kitty City, KB Toys, all of them, I would have my $4 and buy my G.I. Joe or my Ninja Turtle. And the worst part is I was that kid who opened their toys carefully, but then when I was done playing with them, I put them right back into that cardboard bag.
Oh, nice.
I cut it open like a crazy person. It's like, oh, I could put everything away and put everything back.
Because these were like back in the day of the bubble cards. It wasn't like nowadays Marvel Legends where you can just slide the tray in and out. You had to like it peel it, like use a like a hot blow dryer to like peel the bubble off the card, right?
But of course, as you grow up, they kind of got put away in storage. And I think in college, that's where I kind of started going back into collecting again, because anime came into my life. I had no idea what anime was. Toonami was like my introduction to anime. So that 2-hour block in like afternoon during high school or something like that, or in college, I enjoyed Dragon Ball. It was, of course, it was new to me, and then meeting all my new friends from college, they were like, "That stuff is so old. What are you talking about?" Because they were kids and they watched it. I was like, I had no idea. But I got into Gundam. I got into Dragon Ball, and I discovered Suncoast Video. If you remember that.
Yeah, in the mall, right? Like the video stores in the mall.
Yep, and Sam Goody, and they sold all the different collectibles for anime, as well as the VHS tapes, which I did collect a lot of anime DVDs and VHS tapes. So I started collecting those Bandai toys or Toynami toys. They weren't very much articulated, but it did its justice for an anime character on your shelf. So I loved it. And building Gundams, that was always fun for me as well. So I had that stuff, and that was all in college. I didn't buy a lot, but I got enough to, like, have a nice display for what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then it just kicked up into Marvel Legends, maybe about like 5 or 6 years ago. And I saw, the first one I saw was Rogue from the Juggernaut wave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, my X-Men. I can't believe there's like this beautiful Rogue figure that looks so good. It's just not like the old Toy Biz 4-inch.
Right. Right. But
this one, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. And I was wondering, what the hell is this leg in here?
Right, the Build-A-Figure, because that's a recent, they didn't have Build-A-Figures back in the 80s and 90s.
Right. And I looked on the back of it, and I was like, oh, you can build a Juggernaut. This is really cool. I had no idea. So that was all new to me. It was really crazy. And I think during this time when the Juggernaut wave came around, it was when the black and red box of the Black Series just kind of like relaunched itself with the whole new Star Wars Episode 7.
So, okay, right.
So when that just started being released, where you saw Rey and Finn and all that, so I started seeing that as well. I was like, oh, this is from the new movie that's not even out yet. So I started picking some of those up. And that's kind of where it all kind of.
So really, the last, like you said, the last 5 or so years was it kind of kicked into gear, because that's the thing, it's funny how much toys have evolved even in the last 5 years. Because, like, to your point, when those Force Awakens figures came out, it was like Black Series was around a couple years before that, but like the evolution from 3 3/4 to 6-inch was like a big evolution. But then, like, now, if you look at Marvel Legends now, specifically the MCU ones, or like the Black Series figures with the digital print and everything, like,
right,
compare those to even that first wave of Force Awakens figures. It's God, like night and day. And part of like why I'm more of a collector now than I was even 10, 15 years ago is that the quality of toys, like mass market, mainstream, Walmart, Target toys, are so much better than like they were just like 5, 6 years ago.
Oh, completely. I can look at that Rey figure and then compare it to the new digital facing. It is night and day, and it's amazing. And it makes me, the head sculpt is what does it for me. Mm-hmm. If they have a good digital face print now, or a sculpt, either one, I am sold on it right away, because I'm sure the body and everything is going to be perfectly fine, because it's just that face. The moment you have that face and it looks accurate as anything, I'm sold.
Is that the thing for you? Because it's different for different folks, right? Because some people, like, their preference is the articulation. If it's not articulated, they don't want it. For some, it's the sculpt. For some, it's the paint. Like, what is it? Is it? Because I think you and I are similar here. To me, it's like the likeness. Like, I prefer, like, my Marvel Legends collection is like 95% MCU, just because I like like you said, the accuracy. If it looks exactly like the actor, I've swapped out like older figures for the newer ones that look more like, because of the digital print or whatever. Like, what is it likeness for you, or is there any particular like aspect of figures that draw your attention?
It is likeness first, sculpt second, articulation third. I can deal with not having it fully articulated. I mean, I like having an articulated figure, but I'm both a statue and a articulated guy. I'm perfectly fine with both, because when it comes to likeness, it's more visually appealing to me. I guess a little background on me, because I guess you can call me an artist in a way, because I used to draw a lot. I did a lot of comic book drawing when I was a kid and into high school and into college. But I
mean, we'll talk about it later. I was going to get into it. I mean, you're also a customizer, and you build dioramas. So I wanted to talk about that. But for sure, yeah, I totally consider you an artist. I've been on your Instagram, dude. Okay,
but yeah, it is likeness first. I mean, take for example Mattel's wrestling line. I mean, I love WWE and new AEW, but I could not get into it when they just did the regular sculpts. The moment they started doing digital face printing, I just wanted to buy it because it looked just like the character or the wrestler.
Right. One. I was always confused about Mattel because, like, when they had the DC license, and I understand because I know some friends who work there. Like, the WWE group was different from the DC group, but like it's the same freaking company. How could like the WWE figures look so great and like the DC multiverse figures look so shitty? Like, couldn't you just like share tips with one another? You know what I mean? Because I hated those like Mattel, like, because honestly, DC Universe classics is what really brought me back like hardcore. I was always a collector, back in the 90s, I think. Ever since the 90s, Power of the Force, I've said this on this show before, like, I use my brother as an excuse to kind of buy, like, those Batman Forever figures and, like, Power of the Force figures, but, like, really it was for me, but I said it's for my little brother. But then, like, 2009, 2010, like, when Mattel was doing those DC figures, and then they kicked in with the DC UC, I was, like, all in. Ever since then, I was, like, full on. I will collect everything, particularly 6 and 7 inch figures. But as Mattel kind of like aged in the license, some of the stuff they were putting out, like their Batman versus Superman figures were like god awful. Like their Suicide Squad figures were shit. I was just like, why are they so bad compared? And then that's when WWE started doing like the face print and like had like Rocky look like The Rock, you know what I mean? Like Stone Cold look like Stone Cold. How could Ben Affleck's head sculpt be so terrible when you have the same people on staff who were like pumping out these awesome figures for the WWE line?
Yeah, they were bad. I mean, and I wasn't a multiverse person. I remembered when those DC Universe figures, is that the one with the yellow card taken away? I remember when they were in stores. But what's funny is that even though I wasn't collecting back then, I always saw characters that I had no idea who they were. Right. on the pegs. I'm like, who is this person? Why? And I've never heard of them from the DC Universe. And I from their sculpts, I mean, the sculpts look pretty good. Yeah. But then after that, it became the blue box of DC Multiverse. And no matter what, as much as I love DC, I could not buy those figures. Yeah. It just did not look right to me.
No, I mean, that first few waves when it was still DCUC, I loved them. I mean, it was very reminiscent of Superpowers, right? I mean, that's what they kind of went as deep as Superpowers did back in the 80s. And I think that's what I liked about it. It was kind of like, how 3 3/4 Joes are now classified, 3 3/4 Star Wars are now Black Series. It was like 3 3/4 Superpowers are now 6-inch Multiverse, right? And I love the line, and they weren't articulate great, but like the sculpt was awesome. You had all these, to your point, deep cut DC characters in the line. I didn't collect all of them. Like you, I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is. I don't need this in my collection. I totally cherry picked, but I think it was even before it went to the blue box. When it went to the red box, that was around BVS. Like the quality just took a dive. Like, do you remember the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman figure that they put out?
Definitely. I remember.
I mean, you got Gal Gadot, like, I think a hot toy behind you, like It's night and day from like the shit Mattel put out.
My old hunts, when I started doing toy hunts, and I would always see the red box. I looked at them like, because then I used Marvel Legends as a comparison, because you see the MCU figures, and I'm like, these look great, and they were sculpted. They weren't even using the
right. The older MCU figures were still good. Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't look like the actors. And oh God, don't get me started on the Harley Quinn one from when they made the Multiverse figure.
Oh yeah.
Like, what in the hell is this? It's not. It didn't appeal to me. I understood. Oh, we have a Harley Quinn. Oh, it's from Suicide Squad. But because of the way it looked, it just turned me off. I was like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah. So I knew they were shit, because I was like, and even though I bought a couple of them, I would instantly regret it, because I'm an impulsive guy. It's like, well, it's Batman, I can't not buy it. You know what I mean? But as soon as I brought it home, and it was just like, Ben Affleck's the eyes were just painted so terribly. But yeah, those were some lean times. But again, the quality has taken such a huge turn just in the last few years. Is there a line that you don't currently collect that you kind of wish you did?
I guess right now, Mafex or Mafex. Just because I'm more heavily into the comic book inspired.
Yeah, I got the Hush Batman. That's the only Mafex figure I have, and it's the one with the giant ass cape. Like,
oh yeah, the Jim Lee.
Yeah, that's a good figure.
I don't have any. And as I remembered, I pre-ordered from Ami Ami, and then it just came to a reality shock of August, September is coming up, and I have like so many pre-orders that are supposedly going to hit. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to take care of this. So I was like, I just canceled. I think it was like 5 different Mafex figures from Ami Ami. I probably got blacklisted because they have this rule against canceling pre-orders.
Oh,
even though you don't put a deposit. It was just like you made us put something on hold, but it wasn't even out yet. They didn't.
Well, and that's the problem with Mafex too. Is like that shit. They put the pre-order, and it's like 3 years before it even comes out.
Right. So that's the thing. I was like, well, I can't do it. I was like, you know what? Cut it off. It didn't even start. I didn't even start anything with it. So we'll just leave it at that.
Well, Mafex is like I said, I only have the Hush figure, but that was another line that I think in the beginning, especially a few like 5 or 6 years ago, again around BVS, I think the quality control was really bad, because like my problem with Mafex in the beginning was I didn't want to pay $100 for a figure that falls apart when you touch it.
That's true.
And I think the QC issues have improved, but the Hush Batman has been fine. But yeah, I'm still hesitant to buy like Mafex. I have a bunch of SH Figure Arts DC figures, but the Mafex, yeah, it was only the Hush one was the only one that got me over the line. Like I had to get that one, but I still haven't invested in a lot of Mafex figures.
Sure. And I have Figure Arts too. I remember I used to have Deadshot, because that was a great Will Smith likeness. But then it was just the scale.
Yeah, he was way bigger than everybody else.
Killed me. I was like, I can't. And then I couldn't get a hold of like the Harley Quinn or the Joker at the time because they were so popular.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I gotta let this go, because there's no way I'm gonna start figuring out how to collect this one. Dragon Ball figures, yes, I enjoyed that.
So going back to what brought you back, and you said you were in the 80s and 90s, you were heavy into G.I. Joe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What was it about like those two lines? And again, those are your like foundational toy lines, right? What was it about those two particular properties that appealed to you?
Oh, it's the show, it's the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to watch them all the time. Hell, I even recorded them on VHS.
You had like stacks of VHS tapes.
I did. I did the same thing with the X-Men. What was funny is that I was so good at recording, pressing that record button to not record the commercials.
You were a DVR before DVRs existed, right?
Correct. I needed to time my VCR so well to hit record within that 20-second time frame of when I knew the show would come back on. So bad.
No, that's awesome. I used to brag, like when I was a kid, I could tell time at what show was on TV. It was like, you know, Heathcliff's on, it must be 3:30, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. Like, it must be difficult for you today, as a Turtles fan, because there's just so much Turtles stuff. Like, do you feel like you have to collect all of it, or are you just like, maybe I'll do Super 7 but not NECA, or I'll do Playmates but not, you know what I mean? Like, just I've never seen a property that's just got so many licenses out there. That's just like, there's just so much turtle shit out there.
That's the funny thing. As heavy as I was in the turtle, and I had a lot of Ninja Turtles. I had a lot of the vehicles. I had the sewer play set. My collection was amazing until it no longer is. But I don't collect any of it now.
Yeah, I can understand that though.
Because I was so late into it. When NECA started doing it, first of all, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So that was just one issue. And then it got so deep into it that I was like, and I think it was also price point, because they sold them in 2-packs also. Like Target was the only place where they got the original Toon style turtles. And I remember seeing them on the shelf, but I was like, I can't pay $53. Right. I can afford the $20 ones over there, Marvel Legends. But I'm like, and especially, it was like talking to the wife and be like, hey, can I buy this? But once I passed it, I guess I never looked back, because newer figures started coming out with them. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to catch up to this. So is that
the decision point? Is it like price? Is it like, I got into it too late, so it's just too much to catch up on? Like, because, you know, to your point about like, and that's also a price thing, I guess, going on eBay or going on the second market to find like the older figures to fill in gaps is like, you might as well not do it, because it's just so expensive.
Well, that's what was so crazy. I think for me, I was a completionist. And that's the key word. I was a completionist. Right. Because when it came to Legends, when I first got that Rogue Legend, I was like, oh, there's a whole set.
You had to build Juggernaut, man.
I would feel like crap that something was missing. And I would collect. And I guess I started collecting Legends at an amazing time, because they were all over Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. I started buying all of them on clearance. And I collected so many waves that really didn't appeal to me, but it was the mere fact that I finished the wave, I got it all.
And I only paid like $5 a pop for them or whatever.
Exactly. And when it came down to Turtles, just as an example from what you were talking about for NECA, it was kind of like, I would love to get them, but I had already started my hole down Legends and Black Series. So adding on to this new one was kind of like, can I really do it? So yes, price point does have a factor on it, because how else am I going to fund it? And there's a big factor with finances on this.
Yeah. No, trust me. Like, that's every collector that's listening to this right now is like, yeah, I feel you. Like, their wallet is taking a lot of abuse, especially nowadays, because again, there's just so many lines, so many companies, and so much product out there that's just, it's hard to keep track of everything. Well, the other property that was your childhood foundation, you do collect in 2021, and that's G.I. Joe. Why did you decide to hop on the classified train and not the Turtles train? Because, you know, classified, talk about hard to find, like at least in the first year of the line, that shit was like one of your like most popular videos is like, look, I found G.I. Joe figures on the shelves. So like it was like, I mean, really difficult, impossible to find to this day. Like when I see like the Snake Eyes wave or like Lady J at Target like every day, and it just blows my mind to see something in the wild. But what was it about G.I. Joe that just made you decide, like, yeah, I got to get back into this?
I love GI Joe a whole lot more. GI Joe was huge to me. Those O-ring figures that I had, the vehicles that I had, I guess it was just their aesthetic, the aesthetic of this code-named character that had this crazy style of dress up. And then the weapons that they had, because there's so many different weapons just from the original figures. And then here's Hasbro creating the classified line. And it was like, oh my goodness. And it had that, it was the same again, but just a bigger scale and a more detailed, more modern type of look. And I didn't mind that. I liked it. I liked the modern look. If they gave you a classic look, fine, by all means, go ahead and do it. I'll probably get it. And I think it was just the whole aesthetic of this older GI Joe line into a more modernized, more, I guess, accessible scale that I could utilize with other parts of my collection, because it is like it's a military aspect of the figure. I can utilize it. It just, I guess GI Joe was always so much fun to watch. It was incredible, including the movie. I loved the movie when it first, the movie was funny because I thought Duke died. I didn't hear her say coma.
Well, I think that was the original plan until like Hasbro was like, oh, we just traumatized a generation of children when we killed Optimus. Let's not kill Duke. Let's get the actor to the ADR line that he's just in a coma because they were we were not repeating the Optimus Prime debacle again. Well, but G.I. Joe Classified was also like, that was the first time, and I hope no one's listening to this that has any connection to our finances, but that was the first time in a long time that I was like, I'm gonna fuck it, I will just go to eBay and buy that damn Cobra Trooper because no one is finding it anywhere. And I dropped, I basically, put it this way, I paid Mayfex money for for a freaking Cobra Trooper.
Cobra Island Trooper.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, I was dedicated. I went out like every day, if not every other day, to hunt every figure down, which I have. And I think the only figure that I have not seen in stores was a Cobra Viper. Never seen it. I actually had friends that were able to find them, and then I paid them, I PayPal'd them to send it to me. and that was, and so to be honest, as my viewers that watched, they reached out to me, and I couldn't thank them enough for reaching out to me, because I was not expecting someone to be like, hey, I found one, do you want it? I'm like, oh, yeah. Can you please? I'll PayPal you right now.
That's the best, like, fringe benefit of having a YouTube channel and viewers, right? Like people reaching out and sending you stuff that they can find, because
it can. And as humbling as it is for them to offer it for free, it's so hard to accept, because it's like, no, look, let me PayPal you. You don't have to do stuff like that. And I had received stuff before, but this GI Joe line, I get excited about it when I hear that the new figures are coming out. And then I get excited about it, of course, on our Facebook groups when someone found something. I'm like, you're done kidding me. And then I have to go all nuts trying to go and find it somewhere. And of course, that's like, oh, that's good content for me if I am able to find it and I can just put it up on YouTube.
There was a whole genre of like toy hunt videos on YouTube. It's like you said, it's a niche. Yeah. And, I've never had the inkling to kind of record myself shopping. Like I just have too much self-consciousness around it. But like the hunt itself, I I go on hunts, first thing in the morning. I'll hit the Target, I hit the Walmart. And to your point, like seeing things in the wild, like there are moments where I wish I had a camera on me that I was like I found the Viper at a Target on sitting just by itself. I want to share it with the world. But then I'm too self-conscious. Like, when did you decide that because you know the hunt is something that you do. Like I want to tape myself doing this and put it on YouTube for like thousands of people to watch. Like, what made that decision?
So, I have 2 kids. When I first started doing YouTube, they might have been like, I want to say like 6 and 4, and the boy and a girl, one loves Shopkins, and the other one loves Roblox. Immensely loves Roblox. So whenever we go to a store, we always go to the toy section. I'll go look at my stuff and they'll go look at their stuff. So out of nowhere, I guess I was like my kids would watch YouTube, because I guess as what kid doesn't have like an iPad that's or
Right.
their parents' phone watching YouTube or something like that?
I mean, kids don't, to your like our child, no one watches regular TV,
No,
like recording
no.
cartoons. Everyone's watching YouTube.
They don't. So when I stumbled across like they were watching someone in a store, like maybe at a Target, just filming what they were looking. Oh yeah, there was a lot of like those family shows that they just watch, and they would just be walking around the toy store and filming it. I'm like, that's pretty easy. I think we do that all the time. Why do you got to watch someone else do it? And then I stumbled across, of course, Cincy. I stumbled across Cincy, and he did it, and he had his girls with him too. And I'm like, hey, we could do this.
Oh, so Cincy was the inspiration?
Cincy was the inspiration.
Nice.
Because he collected what I collected.
Mm-hmm.
And his girls, it's funny because his girls love Shopkins too. So I actually started a channel before my Archie channel, which was called Family Toy Hunt. And it was fine for what it was. I probably had like less than 100 subscribers, but for the mere fact it was fun for me and my kids to do it.
Right.
It was awkward because you had me as an adult collector showing my haul, and then, hey, here's my kid showing little Shopkins and Roblox. So it's kind of like my audience was kind of confused. Like, what am I watching?
Right.
But that was it. Cincy was my inspiration. That's how it started. I unfortunately killed the Family Toy Hunt channel and just dedicated it just to me because, well, first of all, Kappa came about.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, like, there's that whole kids on YouTube thing.
Yep. So that was it. Cincy.
Since he was one of the first like YouTubers I watched too, to kind of just know that this is a thing, like, because like I said earlier, like I fall asleep just watching toy hunt video. Like my wife will come into the living room sometimes and go like, "You're watching other people shopping? Like what? I don't understand what you're doing." I'm like, yep. Yeah, basically that's what I'm doing.
Yep. Kind of weird voyeurism type of thing where we just want to watch someone else do what we do, or we have this
but there's a familiarity. Yeah, right. But there's also familiarity. It's like one, Targets all look the same no matter where you are. Like the shelves are kind of arranged the same way. So it's like you kind of I find myself kind of like doing this, trying to look behind the pegs.
Yep.
And then forgetting like, oh, I'm watching a television. And then, but like, because you're just so used to like, that's an experience. You're kind of like living vicariously. And to me, it's interesting to see like, what are on the pegs in Texas? What are on the pegs in Ohio? What are on the pegs in like all these other places? Because collecting too is so regional. Like things that are available everywhere here where I am may not be available at all where you are. Right. And that's just that's another thing that's interesting as a collector.
No, you're right. You're right. Because it's funny. I recently met a good friend now, a YouTuber now, of course, but I met him through Instagram, Disavowed Action Figures, and he lives an hour away from me. But his YouTube toy hunts, I swear to God, he finds everything all the time first. It's like his stores are in constant restock. My stores, I get something once a month, and I can't.
Yeah.
It's like I can't keep up. And I was like, I am so proud of his accomplishments through YouTube, because he's growing and growing and growing. So it's really cool. But me and him talk like nearly every day, so it's really cool.
It's really funny that, like, with all the like the supply chain issues affecting like the rest of the world, and then people complaining about not being able to find things in stores. I'm like, I'm so used to this as a toy collector. Like, it's like distribution problems has been a thing like for years for us. It's like, it's not even no skin off my teeth to hear about supply chain issues, because like if you're a toy collector, distribution is like the worst part of any toy company.
Really bad. And as much as for my YouTube channel, if I wanted to try to get as much content as possible, in the years past, I used to have a lot of content because of me going like when I go to work, I go to lunch and I can hit like 5 stores within my lunch break. And that's enough content. And I can do that Monday through Friday, which back then I used to have so much content. And of course I was able to find stuff, because how can I not miss them unloading a truck and having all the new stuff out? Nowadays, I work from home now. So I only go out like maybe once or twice a week. And if that were the case, like, what did I miss that was already here that I don't know about? So that's why I don't own as much stuff anymore.
And then I feel like nowadays, so many stores just don't have a regular like restock schedule either. Like it's just random, one day it's empty, the next day it's like some things are on the pegs, and then the day after that it's empty again, right? Like it's hard to kind of catch but again, that's what makes it a hunt.
That's what makes it hard. Yeah.
Because the internet has also made it easier to like actually get the things, right? Like pre-ordering on Big Bad or Entertainment Earth has kind of like made hunting less necessary. But at the same time, I kind of prefer seeing like a figure in the wild, and kind of almost wishing I bought it when it was in the wild, right? Because like going back to classified, now I see Cobra Commander and Lady J everywhere, but I bought those off internet stores like a long time ago,
right?
But something about like seeing it in the wild, I almost kind of want to just buy it just to say I bought it off the peg. You know what I mean? But like it doesn't make any difference ultimately, but it kind of does to me.
You're right. I mean, I pre-order. I pre-order everywhere that I can, but I also go and hunt, and if I find it first, it's kind of like, I get to get to my pre-order.
Cancel the pre-order.
That's what's so crazy. It's kind of like I pre-ordered for a reason, and yet I'm not one of the first people to have it. What's with this distribution?
Yeah,
how is it that the stores have it and are able to put it out, if that, but yet Big Bad, Entertainment Earth, hell, Hasbro Pulse, I don't get it till like a month, maybe 3 months later. Which I'm sure it drove you nuts, but find everyone buying that Alley Viper and Bat on Walmart like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, like I didn't even know that was out, right? Like it was like I thought it was until 2022, and all of a sudden it's on that Walmart. Yeah,
that's the problem. Whoever that smart man was that just kind of deep dived through the search of Walmart and saw that special code of GIJCS satellite. Who the hell comes up with that? Find it, and there's no picture of it. It just says the Hasbro logo. When during that time it was up, it just has the Hasbro, and they just like, you know what? Let's buy 5 of this and 5 of that, and see what comes out. And of course, it was the Alley Viper and a Bat.
Well, and I mean, that goes back to the problems with classified last year, where like Target, even though they had pre-orders because of bots, because of AI or whatever, like scalpers, were like, they were the reasons why no one could buy any Cobra Island stuff. It's just because, again, the internet that makes it easier to buy stuff actually made it harder for folks who didn't have like the technology to just kind of like scoop up the entire pre-order. And I still to this day not understand how you can sell out of a pre-order, because this isn't the whole point of pre-ordering, to let the like distributor know, oh, we need to make 1,000 available because 1,000 people want it, rather than like we're only making 5. I mean, I get it if it's like you go in saying it's going to be limited, but like a mass market thing should not be sold out in pre-order as far as I'm concerned.
I agree, because if you allot yourself, let's just say 300,000 units, but then you got pre-orders up to 400,000, then you're just like, okay,
we need to make some more. Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard.
Either that or just close off the pre-order. Just be like,
yeah,
there's only this much, and then. But yeah, I agree.
So I mentioned earlier that, you know, anyone who's been on the RG Instagram has seen that you don't only hunt and unbox and collect, you also customize and create dioramas. You know, you were humbly saying you're kind of an artist, but what got you into that aspect of the toy collecting hobby?
So I was very interested in toy photography. I do everything off of my iPhone. I don't have any special camera, DSLR, whatnot. I try to do my best on what I already have. I think it's because as much as I could utilize better, I could have better equipment. I was like, but I could buy this figure next month. So,
that's priority.
So it's priority. I was more, the toy photography aspect was just like, these look really cool, but I'm not good at like Photoshop. So I want to try and make it as authentic as possible without having to like remove like a figure stand or, you know, just try to do something. But there was a part of me that's kind of like, I look at all these people's photographs and everything deals with lighting, which I'm starting to get a hang of it, but I'm not there yet. And of course, everyone has a diorama. And I was like, what? Let me. I remember watching diorama videos, like how-to videos, and there's some amazing diorama artists that put up like basic fundamental videos on YouTube. And I watched some of it. I was like, that seems pretty simple. I could practically imitate that. And I say that in my head, imitate, because as a sketch artist, I can just look at something and just kind of copy it. Like I can photographic memory on a piece of paper, and I could like just draw it. So when using foam or styrofoam or any kind of plastic that could create a form of accessory, I was like, I want to try it. And I did. And I tried out my first, and it's kind of like one of the most used diorama that I have. It's kind of like that warehouse thing. And I love it. And I try to do more, and I'm still working on more. There's some kind of behind me right here. So that is just a lot of fun to do. But my biggest one was all the like fire and flame effects.
Yeah.
That
which came in perfect for barbecue when barbecue came out from the classified.
I got this perfect thing. I have this cool idea. And I wanted to just try different explosions because I wanted to see how it would work out, considering G.I. Joe was a factor of it. I was like, what can I do with G.I. Joe? Because I can't just have them walk, play with their weapons, or just aim and shoot. I want to have some kind of effect that's going to show something that they did. So G.I. Joe was a big inspiration to creating these flame and fire effects or explosion effects. They're still being tweaked too. I'm still trying to figure out different sculpting methods, but most of that stuff is just cotton.
Oh wow!
Cotton. It's all cotton. Why do I not have any here? Well,
it's all good.
But yes, once I started doing that, I put up some shots. Just Jay Hernandez hit me up. It was like, hey, can I, if I'm ever selling, let him know. I was like, I'm not selling. Honestly, if you want me to send you something, I'll definitely send you something, because I'm just trying to get a feel for this right now. And if I want to sell down the road, I will sell down the road. Sent him some. Kind of blew up, because when Jay put it on his live stream, he kind of spammed the crap out of me, and all the people started messaging me. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Let me see what I could come up with and work with. So I've had a few customers, which is amazing, and I appreciate the work or the photography that they did on their Instagram. So it's really cool to see, I guess, my artwork,
Yeah,
showcased, and I love it. I think it's cool. I've created some new stuff, and I'm hoping it can kind of get some traction for some other people.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the under heralded aspect of the collecting community is like something like that, right? Like Jay, who's got a big following on YouTube, like just kind of like boosted you like that. You know what I mean? And you know, we talked about Cincy Nerd earlier. Like a lot of these kind of like YouTube toy personalities, they are a community. They all kind of like look out for each other, and just random folks who are like who find things in their stores, you know, will send folks, you know, stuff to their PO boxes, and it's just a really cool kind of like community to be part of, honestly, because we all have the same likes, we all have the same, you know, interests, and you know, there's no judging. There's some shitty people, but then you kind of ignore them and like, you know, just connect with the folks who you kind of vibe with, right? And that's what's kind of cool and necessary, especially in these like, you know, virtual pandemic times when it's hard to kind of get in person. I know that you recently ventured out to New York Comic Con again after a couple year hiatus due to the pandemic. What was that like? Just kind of like being around people again. It was a pretty subdued NYCC, or was it kind of like pretty busy?
It was subdued. It's unfortunate. I still enjoyed the hell out of it, just for the mere fact that it's like, oh my God, I get to go to a convention. I get to go to a Comic-Con convention. And of course it is the New York one, which I've been frequently going to for quite some time. The difference between me going is that I actually volunteer for ReedPop to work.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So luckily, I have an in to work any of the ReedPop shows. So hopefully everything goes well, and I'll be going to Star Wars Celebration over in Anaheim next year.
Nice. And
I get paid for it. So ReedPop pays you to be a volunteer to help out where needed. But you're always selected. It all depends on how,
right,
if you have previous experience. So I've been fortunate that I've had previous experience with this stuff. But it was subdued for the mere fact that many of the exhibitors, all the companies that typically frequent it, did not go. So it looked like this, it looked empty in a way, because you normally would see those big name companies, for example, Marvel and DC, to be there and take up this huge floor space, but they wasn't there. So it was as if these other companies had to spread out and kind of make it look full. And they created all these different parts of their booth to have this interactivity. But unfortunately, you could just, you visually see it, that is just like, it's lacking.
And that's the difference between like New York and San Diego, because like, San Diego recently relaunched their kind of quote unquote special edition a couple weeks ago, and it was very subdued. It didn't look, anyone who's ever been to San Diego Comic-Con knows it's a madhouse. But San Diego started out as like a small comic book convention. And that, some of the people I've talked to since then said like, this was very reminiscent of like the old school San Diego Comic-Con. But the thing about New York is that like, New York was huge ever since it launched in 2009, right? Like it launched at the peak of like Comic Cons, and New York has never been a subdued show. So I can only imagine like Javits Center being like half empty was just weird.
It was. It was still fun as an employee as well as a guest. There was still a lot of things to do. They had panels for all kinds of stuff, including Ghostbusters, and plus Javits they built that whole new building,
right?
So there's a huge auditorium in there. But it was wild, because just for the mere fact that you didn't see who you would normally see there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. I guess it was a good start. It was a good start for the crappy year that it was going to be. And I mean, and plus of all things, it was New York, because I know New York had a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
So a lot of exhibitors also, unfortunately, due to New York's restrictions, they just felt as if it wasn't a good fit for their staff to be a part of those restrictions. So they just opted out to not exhibit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, hopefully, you know, we do kind of turn the corner, and you know, Unicron doesn't follow Omicron and destroy the Earth. But the last thing I did want to ask you about is, you know, we talked about earlier, like, what lines do you wish you collected? But the one question I like to ask everyone is, what is the one figure, line, piece that is still your holy grail? The thing that you've never had a chance to get, the one that got away. And you can't say the USS Flag, because like that's what everybody says.
nah,
no one can ever get the flag.
I never even knew of the USS Flag.
But
Yeah,
is there a piece that, like, if I can get this one thing, I'm done. I don't have to collect anymore.
Oh, I'm done. So it's not a piece where it says I'm good.
Like, that's the last thing I ever need to collect. It's so
Good
so
Lord.
special. Well, that might be too much, but it don't have to like be the end all, but like, you know, what's your holy grail?
Yeah. Right now it's more so a statue. It's a Sideshow premium format statue. So if you guys are familiar with that, if you're familiar with that, they're like these maybe 2 feet tall statues, right? They're so big. But there is a Rogue and a Gambit Sideshow premium format statues. I think they run between $600 to $700. They're beautiful. I don't think Rogue is even available anymore. That's also the problem. I think because of how many were made, it's extremely limited now, or it's gone. I'd have to find it somewhere else. Gambit might still be available, but having those 2 pieces would be incredible. And there's other X-Men characters on with the statue side, but when it comes to that sculpt and the detail of a statue, I would love that.
Well, and it would be a perfect bookend, right? Because Rogue is what got you back into collecting, and Rogue would be the one that like ended it if you were able to find it.
Like even along with lines with statues. I mean, I don't know if you've seen them before, but I think it was Infinity Studios. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Where they make those lifelike busts.
Yeah.
From the DC EU. They did one, of course, with Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and they look beautiful. And they use that silicone mold to have that lifelike skin. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When it comes to those types of statues, I'm just like, my God, how can someone pay like close to $2,000 plus for stuff like that? Like, I don't know if you can even collect anything else. And we're middle-aged people. You know?
I mean, that's kind of like my problem, is just like thinking about space. As much as I want to back like HasLab stuff, like I have nowhere to put it. Like I really wanted to back the Sky Striker. I didn't care so much for the Rancor. Like nobody did, clearly. But the Sky Striker was something I was like, man, I didn't even know I wanted something like that. Like I was hoping that the G.I. Joe HasLab would be a classified thing.
Yes.
But then as cool as it looked, I was like, I might be into that. But then I'm like, where the fuck am I going to put it? I have nowhere to put like big pieces like that. I mean, this is, and like, you know, I'm sure, you know, as middle-aged men with families, it's kind of like, you can have your stuff as long as it's over there. It can't be in the living room or the kitchen, and it's like, okay, I have to, even my, like, I have like the one DTOF, and I have to like swap out my displays. I can't just display everything, right? Like it's just like, all right, I'm going to just like for now, I'm just gonna have like Wakanda be on my shelf. So I'm gonna put all my Doge Melage and I'm gonna put all my Black Panthers. And like, all right, I really liked Eternals. I was like the only person who liked Eternals. So I like took out all my Wakanda display to just replace them with the Eternals, right? Like I'm just kind of like have to swap things out and keep things in bins until they're ready to be on display. But yeah, I don't know what to do about space. That's my biggest problem. Is that like space is just a premium at this point.
Space is definitely a factor. You're right about the Striker. As great as that is, I did not get it.
Yeah,
because I think I'm done with 3 3/4.
Mm.
I'm like, I don't need that. I mean, as much as a display piece that it could be, I don't have a display spot
right.
for something like that. Although I will make room for my Sentinel and my Galactus, because the as much Marvel Legends as I have, those I definitely wanted. And
yeah.
In fact, but space. So here's the thing about space. I realized that I can't collect everything. And that's the thing. And I realized that over time, the hype of a figure or collectible that I've purchased has dwindled down so much that I don't care for it anymore. So a lot of my collection is just a constant recycle.
Yeah.
I am constantly selling the old in order to fund the new.
Yeah.
It's so weird that I'm able to let go of certain pieces in order for me to enjoy the new shiny toy.
Well, let me put a twist on that question I asked you then. Is there a piece in your current collection that will never be parted with? Like,
oh yes.
What's the most prized piece in the collection?
I will show you. Let me grab it.
Okay. Because it's always like, who's your favorite child, right? But
yeah, right.
But you're able to be like, no, I can totally tell you who my favorite kid is. And he's a artist opening up the Detolf. Suspense for those of you who are listening.
Right.
What is the piece?
Can you see it?
It's a Supergirl. Is that a Michael Turner Supergirl? Oh, right. Something fell. Something fell down.
All right. So this, once I put it back, this is a Michael Turner Supergirl statue.
Yeah.
My wife bought this for me back in college.
Oh, wow. So it's got sentimental value as much as anything else.
Sentimental value. And of all things, it's got sentimental value because of Michael Turner was one of my favorite artists.
Rest in peace.
Oh, yes, exactly. So it's funny because with his Aspen Comics, I frequented Wizard World Philadelphia all the time, just because that's the Comic-Con that's near me.
Right.
So he was there every year. And he was there even after his surgery. That's how incredible it was. And I went to the panels. I have so much of his stuff that I've collected that were autographed because I was like, no matter what, he was an amazing artist as well as an amazing person. And then my wife found this collectible. And I was like, oh my God, it was from that run of Batman and Superman, but he did all of the work. He did all of the cover work and he did all the inside work as well. So when he did Supergirl, I was like, oh my God, look at this. This is beautiful. And I don't think I would ever part ways with this one. That is just, this was amazing, especially for my wife to get it for me when we were in college. I was like, oh my God.
Well, that's awesome. Art, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your collecting history and your collecting story with those of us on Shelf Conscious. For any listener or watcher right now who wants to get more Art G stuff in their eyeballs, where can they find you on Instagram and on YouTube?
So on Instagram, you can find me at artg_collection. Of course, you'll see everything that I've been trying to do there, from my artwork, toy photography work, as well as any toy hauls that I might come up with. As well as on YouTube, you can find me at ArtG. Just type in ArtG. It's funny because if you Google ArtG, I'm the first person that comes up for some weird ass reason.
That's awesome. You solved the SEO there.
Oh, right. So yes, any toy hunts or toy hauls or anything about just toy collecting, and I might throw in a review here and there. You can find me at RG on YouTube.
And we'll put all of the links in the description below. So please click on them, check out Art's stuff. He's an amazing artist and video YouTuber. I was going to say video person. YouTuber is what they're called. And is that weird too, to think like I am a YouTuber? Is that because it's like to your point, like your kids, like all kids want to grow up to be YouTubers, and like, hey, your dad's a YouTuber.
Yeah. My daughter's so weird because when she watches YouTube a lot, and of course everything she does now, it's like she narrates.
Yeah,
like, you don't have to talk. It's like she's narrating to inform people, like inform her audience. I'm like,
right. It's a YouTube generation, man. Well, again, thanks so much, Art, for being on my YouTube show. And again, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, you too, man. Appreciate it.